Manchester stood still as thousands gathered to say their final goodbye to one of its most beloved sons, Ricky Hatton. The morning air carried a deep sense of loss, yet also a quiet pride. Pride in a man whose fighting spirit embodied the heart of the city itself. Known across the world as the Hitman, Ricky wasn't just a boxer. He was a symbol of resilience, laughter, and unshakable honesty. On this somber Friday, the streets of Hyde and Manchester, filled with faces marked by grief and admiration, all united in one last tribute to the champion who had given them so much to cheer for. Hatton's death on September 14th, at the age of 46, sent shockwaves far beyond the boxing community. Found at his home in Hyde, Greater Manchester, the tragedy was confirmed by police to have no suspicious circumstances. But it left behind a silence that was hard to bear. Just 3 months before, Ricky had been preparing for an exhibition fight, one that promised to remind fans of the same ferocity and flair that made him a household name in the mid-2000s. The suddenness of his passing broke hearts around the world. Fighters, fans, and friends alike struggled to comprehend that the man who had once electrified arenas with his fearless determination was gone. The city that had watched him rise from a working-class council estate to the pinnacle of the boxing world now came together to honor him one last time. The day began early in Hyde, where the procession started from the Cheshire Cheese pub, one of Ricky's favorite spots, a place filled with laughter and memories of simpler days. The pub's front was draped in blue and white, colors of Manchester City, the football club Hatton adored. Friends, family members, and fans lined the streets, holding banners, flowers, and photographs of the fighter who had always proudly called himself the Pride of Hyde. From the Cheshire Cheese, the funeral procession slowly made its way through the town, traveling a 10-mile route that wound through the very heart of Manchester. Crowds clapped gently as the hearse passed, while others wiped away tears. Some carried boxing gloves, others wore Manchester City scarves around their necks. It wasn't just a farewell. It was a celebration of a life that had touched so many, a salute to a man who had always remained one of their own, no matter how high he climbed. By the time the procession reached Manchester Cathedral at midday, thousands had gathered outside. Among them were some of the biggest names in sport and music. Frank Bruno, Tyson Fury, and Oasis frontman Liam Gallagher were among those who had come to pay their respects. Their presence was a testament to Ricky's influence, not only as a boxer, but as a man whose warmth and humor had earned him friends across every corner of British life. Inside the cathedral, the atmosphere was both reverent and deeply emotional. The stained glass windows cast soft colors across the crowd, while the organ played a slow, mournful tune as Ricky's coffin was carried in. Hatton's son Campbell, himself now a professional boxer, stood before the congregation with tears glistening in his eyes. His voice trembled as he began to speak, his words cutting through the silence with raw emotion. "Never has a father and son had so much in common," he said. "You taught me everything. How to fight, how to laugh, how to keep going when things get tough. You weren't just my dad, you were my best friend." His words drew quiet sobs from many in the audience, including Tyson Fury, who bowed his head in solemn respect. Campbell's tribute captured everything Ricky had stood for: courage, family, loyalty, and love. For those who knew Ricky personally, the man behind the gloves was even more remarkable than the fighter the world saw under the bright lights. Friends remembered him as someone who could light up a room with his humor, who was always first to check in when someone was struggling. He had a knack for making people feel at ease, no matter who they were. Despite his fame, Ricky never lost his connection to his roots. He still lived in the same area where he grew up. And he never stopped visiting local pubs, chatting with fans, or lending a hand to his community. That groundedness made him special, a champion who never acted like one. In his career, Hatton had built an extraordinary legacy. With 45 wins and just 3 losses out of 48 professional fights, he became a 2-weight world champion and one of Britain's most successful fighters of his era. But numbers alone could never define him. His defining moment came in 2005, when he stopped the legendary Cheshire Cheese in front of a roaring Manchester crowd. That night, Hatton became a world champion, and the city erupted in celebration. For many fans, that victory symbolized something bigger. It was proof that a kid from a council estate could conquer the world through sheer will and heart. Hatton's fights were never just sporting events. They were gatherings of belief, passion, and emotion. His fan base was one of the most devoted in boxing history, often traveling across continents to support him. The Blue Moon Anthem, Manchester City's song, would echo through arenas in Las Vegas and London alike, a sound that reminded everyone of where Ricky came from. He carried that pride everywhere he went, draping himself in the Union Jack and the sky blue of his beloved city. For the people of Manchester, Ricky wasn't just a sports hero, he was a reflection of their spirit. But beyond the triumphs and the cheers, there was another side to Ricky, a vulnerable, deeply human side that he never tried to hide. Over the years, Hatton had spoken candidly about his struggles with mental health. He faced battles with depression that nearly took his life, but his openness about those dark times helped countless others find the courage to seek help. In his 2023 documentary Hatton, he shared that journey in painful detail, showing fans that even the toughest fighters can struggle behind closed doors. That honesty became a powerful legacy in itself, proof that strength isn't just about winning fights, but about facing your own demons.